All right, now I have trouble getting around, as you all know. So I will try to give you an idea here. All right, in the very first book of Genesis, now many of you have heard this many times, and I'm sure you're going to get bored with me, but there's people that haven't. And it's very important for us to understand. There are 7 creative days. And I'm not going to try to dwell on it too long because I want to talk about other things. But you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you have eternity after. And eternity before.
No, we can't see through it. It's not a clear base. It's not see-through.
All right. Now, let me sort of get where maybe you can understand this thing, but I may have to draw pictures. Apparently, the earth was wandering around in space, covered with iceberg, completely covered. And then in Genesis it tells us that the very first thing that Yahweh did in that one day, day one, was, and the earth was without form and void, darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of Elohim moved upon the face of the waters, and said, "Let there be light." And there was light. Now it doesn't get into really specific on each and every thing here, but we know that light is heat. Yahweh is light. We know that. Yahweh is light. And so I assume that he called the earth to him, or close to him. And it all melted. All the ice melted. And that was day one. And the second day he said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters," a space for you and I to walk around in once he got the waters off where he wanted them. And he called that firmament, that space, heaven. That's the first heaven. Second heaven, you can see it. All of the pagans worshipped it and all the things in it. The third heaven is, in my opinion, New Jerusalem. The throne room of Yahweh. And in the third days he took the waters and gathered them together in one place, and he let dry land appear. And he called the dry land dirt, earth. And all of this is in his creation, is for His coming kingdom. Everything. I used to say it was everything was made for man, but it's not really. It was really for His coming kingdom. And He said, let the earth bring forth grass, trees, and let them grow up, die away, let them grow up and die away. And as you well know, that vegetation exhales oxygen, inhales carbon dioxide, exhales oxygen. And then the fourth day, He actually took this earth and placed it in the solar system that you know now. And He put it in the perfect place between Venus and Mars, and put it on a wobble angle so that you have spring, summer, winter, fall. But the earth was not in this place until the fourth day. Now, on the fifth day, He created all kinds of animals, fish, whales, all kinds of things like that. Many of them lived on the earth. Many of them flew above the earth. Many of them lived in the sea. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day, and it was very good. But we come to the sixth day, which is the day of man. Nothing was created out of water. It was all created out of earth. And all the earthly animals had to be replaced. None of the water animals, whales, fish, they didn't have to be remade in the sixth day because they're still there from the fifth day. Which tells me there was a giant flood to end the fifth day, because everything that lived on the earth, flew above the earth, had to land on the earth, died away. And we come to the sixth day. That's the day of man. From Adam down to now, we have records in the Bible of approximately 6,000 years. Now, if I'm going too fast, I'm sorry. But I'll tell you this, I do have it in writing, and I will give it to anybody that wants it, or you can go to our Facebook account and print it out from there. But we know that there's another 1,000 years coming. So from that, I see a 7,000 year creative day on the sixth day. So I'm assuming that all the days are the same length. But that's assuming. I get in trouble a lot of times assuming. I always assume that the Bible told us to honor the new moon. I always assumed that. I talk to people that believe in this sliver thing, and do you have any scripture? No, their answer was, but if it's new moon, there should be light. Well, that made a little sense to me. I prayed about it. And Yahweh spoke to me as clear as you can speak to me and said, have you looked at it? Nothing more. And I thought about it. I thought, well, I don't guess I ever did. So I started searching every place in the Torah that is translated new moon wrong. It's been translated wrong on purpose. It's been translated wrong on purpose. It always says new month. Always. In the Torah. So I took it and pointed that out to these people, and it makes a bit of difference. But I learned a lesson about assuming. And the more that I check out things that I'm assuming, the more I find out that I've assumed way too much. Now, one of the reasons I want to bring this up is because there is a lot of confusion and people misunderstand the difference between the coming 1,000-year kingdom and the 7,000-year time that Yahweh is going to rest and take you and me to New Jerusalem. I get my own opinion on a lot of things, and a lot of things that you might agree with and you might not. But the Scripture tells us, John is looking up there, and he said, I looked up and I saw New Jerusalem coming down from Yahweh. I think what he saw myself, I think he saw the earth leaving the solar system that it's been in since the fourth created day. And why I think that is because when we get to reading in the 21st chapter of Revelation about the time in New Jerusalem, there is no sun and moon. In the 21st chapter of Revelation, there is no sun and moon. You don't need it because Yahweh, Yahshua are there. So that's a thing that I'd like for people to understand. If you would read in the 4th chapter of Hebrews, you will see, and I'll turn to it and read out of it. I don't have all these things marked because I really don't know where I'm going a lot of the times when I get up. Let us therefore fear lest a promise being left us of entering into his rest, any of you should seem to come short of it. This is part of my second message that I'm going to preach today. But I'm going on. For unto us was the good news preached as well as unto them, speaking of the original children of Israel who came out of Egypt. But the word preached did not profit them, not being mixed with faith in them that heard it. For we which have believed do enter into rest, as he said, as I have sworn in my wrath, if they shall enter into my rest. Although the works were finished from the foundation of the world.
That's right.
In his mind, they were finished.
That's right.
I know that there's some that's going to have a little trouble with this. But just think of it. For he spoke in a certain place on the seventh day on this wise, and we know that it's chapter 2 of Genesis. And Elohim did rest the 7 days from all his works. And in this place again, it says, they will enter into my rest. And Elohim did rest the 7th day from all his works. And if they shall enter into my rest, seeing therefore there remaineth that some must enter in, and they to whom it was first preached entered not in because of unbelief. Now, the writer here he's talking about things that are 3,000, 3,500 years apart there. And he limited a certain day, saying in David, today after so long a time as it is said, today if you will hear the voice, harden not your hearts. For if Joshua had given them rest, then he would not afterward have spoken of another day. There remaineth therefore a rest to the people of Elohim. For he that is entered into his rest, he has also ceased from his own work.
Hallelujah.
As Elohim will do at the same time.
That's right.
Go stop all that work he's done for creation. Stop and enjoy the 7th day of rest. That should make that pretty plain. I hope so. I've always thought that each day had 7,000 years because of the way it matches up with the way that he has the Feast of Weeks, which comes to 49 days or years, and the 50th being the Feast of Jubilee. 7 times 7 is 49, and 1 is new beginning. All right. I wanted to cover that because I prayed this is what Yahweh gave me today. Revelation chapter 6. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals. And I heard as it was a noise of thunder, one of the 4 beasts saying, come and see. And I saw, behold, a white horse. And he that sat upon him had a bow. And a crown was given to him to conquer. And he went forth conquering and to conquer. And when he had opened the 2nd seal, I heard the 2nd beast say, come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. And when he had opened the 3rd seal, I heard the 3rd beast say, come and see. And I beheld a black horse, and he that sat upon him had a fair about his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the beasts. 4 beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, a measure of barley for a penny, and see, you hurt not the oil and the wine. The white horse, the fake Yahshua, that sits upon there, actually was fulfilled about the 4th century. That's when the church world got started. False church. Goes quite a long time until the red horse, I believe, appeared. And we had 2 world wars in the 20th century, where millions and millions and millions of people died and were killed, died of disease and starvation. Millions. But old USA, sitting over here, protected by the seas, really didn't have to partake in that as much. The next was the black horse. And I've thought a lot about that. We've seen times of starvation. We've seen times of when food was really hard to get, not for us so much, but for the rest of the world. But he said, see that you don't hurt the oil and the wine. It's the oil, the spiritual descendant of Abraham, the wine, the blood descendants of Abraham. I have been thinking myself that could very easily be talking about spiritual food. If it is, right now would be a good time to look at the black horse, because spiritual food is hard to get. And in my opinion, again, those that do are spiritual and natural descendants of Abraham, the true ones, I believe, are spared from this. We had a lesson here to start with today. And I noticed something there. I would have brought it out. I guess I got lazy. Well, I was kind of looking for some other scriptures. But I noticed it said one place there, it said, and all of those that it was ordained.
That's right.
That they was to be saved, received the word.
That's right. Predestinated. Right.
Yeah.
Chosen before the foundation of the world.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little iffy on predestination. I think many people have got a predestination, but they lose it. I think that if you bought a bus ticket to Atlanta and you got off the bus in Jacksonville, you just missed your predestination, because your predestination on your ticket would say Atlanta. Well, I believe that there's many people have got the ticket. I believe that all Israel, as it says in Romans chapter 11, all Israel will be saved. I believe they've all got the ticket. Even now. And then we've got another one. And I've turned the page somehow. And when it opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and grave followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beast of the earth. I believe that one is right upon fourth seal. I thought it said a fourth part of the earth. That's one in every four of the earth are going to suffer from this disease and these things, hunger and death, and with the beast of the earth. And I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of Elohim, for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O sovereign, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood? And white robes were given unto each one of them, and it was said unto them that they should rest a little season until their fellow servants also, their brethren that should be killed as they were, should be fulfilled. Nobody's looking forward to that one. But it's there. And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal. And lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree cast her untimely fig, when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it was rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their place. Now pay close attention to this next verse. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in dens in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that's sitting on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. Yeshua is back in the sixth seal. He's back. Chapter 7. We sort of lose the flow here because this here doesn't necessarily fall right after verse 16 of chapter 6, because the whole chapter 7 is talking about another time, which is before he comes back, which is a final 144,000 people of Israel that he's going to seal before destruction, and another vision. Now you know this is all Israel, but then after this, there should be a new chapter, but whoever translated didn't get it right. And after this, behold, and lo, a great multitude that no man could number, and all nations, kindred, and people, and tongues stood before the throne, and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes, and palms in their hands. This is also before the coming of Yahweh. People who lived, people who lived before the coming of Yahweh. Now, chapter 8, he goes on, picks up where he left off here in chapter 6. And when he had opened the seventh seal, there was a silence in heaven about the space of a half an hour. And I saw the 7 angels which stood before Elohim, and to them were given the 7 trumpets. Now, what I want you to pay attention to here, because like I told you earlier, I'm really fighting the clock today. The 7th seal was opened after Yeshua come back. Chapter 8, chapter 9, chapter 10. All of these things happened during the 7th seal. You see, we're still in the 7th seal here. And then we come to chapter 11. I believe that he backs up and he starts talking about the 2 witnesses, which I believe will be in Jerusalem during this time of the 5th seal. I believe that they will be killed and ascend to heaven the same way you will, meeting Yeshua. Chapter 12, about a different thing altogether. Backs way up, 2,000 years. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Well, who is that? Well, that's Israel. You remember when Joseph had his dream? He dreamed that the 11 stars bowed down to his star. The 11 sheep bowed down to his sheep. And his dad said to him, "What are you talking about? Are you talking about your brother and me and your mother coming and bowing down to you?" Israel. That's who Israel was. Is Jacob. So this is Israel. She being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head. And his tail threw a third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was to be delivered. Now, if you would read this 12th chapter, you will see, if you can understand the history of the Israel people, the 10 tribes, this is their history. And she brought forth a man-child, who, Israel, was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up to Elohim and to his son. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by Elohim, that they will feed her 1,260 years, I believe. You add the 70 years, 70 AD to that, and you come out to the early 14th century, when light began to shine in the woman. But it follows her where she's carried to different places. All the way up to the time in the 17th verse, and the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of Elohim, and have the testimony of Yeshua. Chapter 13. I don't have any more time for that. But it's all, if you really follow this thing, get it in your mind that all of these things happening in the seventh seal don't apply to you at all. All of these trumpets that are blown, all of these things that poured out upon the rest of the world, all of that will be done, in my opinion, in a 3.5 year period, while Yeshua is bringing the rest of the world under subjection to him. At the same 3.5 years, he will be bringing Israel back to their land, teaching them, putting up the temple, putting up the priesthood, teaching them the difference between profane and clean, clean and unclean, and
holy and profane.
I'm missing.
Holy and profane.
Holy, I'm missing the word. Holy and profane. Because right now they don't know the difference. Right. But I have to tell you, it's good to know these things, if I'm right, and you might read it yourself and get a better understanding your own self. That'd be okay with me. I'd be glad to hear it. Because I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that I know everything. But I do want to tell you that Yahweh has moved upon me, and you better pay attention, because missing out is a terrible, terrible price to pay. It starts with the third commandment. All of the scriptures have that message. All of them. The salvation we have is these people really didn't know enough to know what to destroy. But take my word for it. All of the scriptures have been tainted. The third commandment says this: if you mess up my name and use it falsely, I'm not going to forgive you.
That's what it says.
That's what it says. Now that's pretty important. And I may not know the exact pronunciation of the Hebrew words, but one thing I do know is it does not come to Jesus Christ. I was reading in the books of Kings, and talking about how that one king would really go in, straighten things up, and the next king would come back and he would start getting the images, pictures, putting them on the wall, making images of Baal and others, just like people do today of Jesus Christ. They got a picture on the wall. You can show that picture to anybody, I'll tell you who it is. They have graven images. I got along real good with people as long as I just said, you don't got the wrong name. It wasn't until Yahweh opened my eyes that thousands and millions are worshiping the wrong God. Satan has deceived the world.
That's right.
You may not choose to believe what I've just said. That's okay. I'll still love you, still treat you as good as I possibly can. Hope you will me. But I'm just telling you, to be wrong in this thing is so terrible, the thoughts. What was that he said? Satan is going to come against those who keep the commandment.
That's right.
All of them. Sabbath is a big one. But you know, the third one is even bigger. More misunderstood. All Satan had to do was change 2 words in the Bible. In the New Testament, all he had to do was change 1 word. And then the Torah, all he had to do was change 1 word. And people loved it, eat it. And that Bible actually, I believe, has sent more people to destruction than anything else. You've been told it's going to get worse.
Yes, it is.
People are going to hate you worse. My niece put on Facebook this morning about this coming Halloween thing. And she made the comment, people don't like you if you say what I'm just saying. She said that this thing was of the devil, the whole thing. And I thought to myself, yes, yeah, you think you're going to hate you for that? Try going against their idol.
Mm-hmm.